Hello, this is F. Welcome back to my Ottoman Empire Campaign, episode 17. Last time, Ottoman forces repelled a sally from the Kiev garrison. The Eastern Army lost around 15% of their forces in this attack. Our forces held the line for the glory of Allah and the Sultan. For every one Ottoman soldier killed, 4 Russians went with them. In this episode, we look to liberate the port of Izmir from a Russian blockade and open up trade routes, and finally capture the city of Kiev. Let's get into it. At the end of the turn, Ukraine is still under siege. No further movement has been made by the Russians. North of the Caucasus, the territory has a few units there to garrison the cities, but it is still vulnerable. The Middle East, especially around Baghdad, is vulnerable to a Persian attack. We are not allied to them, but they could turn on us at any moment, leaving the Middle East open for conquest. In the Aegean, we have a Russian fleet blockading the port of Izmir. We'll need to take that fleet out to ensure trade continues to flow, as we'll need income. We'll need that additional trade income to upgrade our economic buildings and to show that we control the Aegean. We don't let anyone else in. The Army of the East will move towards Vienna eventually, but we'll take out the port of Trieste and make sure that the Austrian forces have been removed from that port and they can't cause any issues there. Again, we need to look at maintaining public order across the newly conquered territories of Austria and Hungary. But for now, we will look to engage the Russian fleet and clear the Aegean of enemy ships. Almost on par with ship numbers, but we'll see how this goes. Naval combat is pretty cool in Empire Total War. I do love the tall ships and the cannon engagements. So we'll get our navy into position, into group formation, and as you can see, we'll move them forward. We have the wind at our back, so that should be quite good. Currently on screen is the Russian navy making their way down against the wind, so that should give us a slight advantage in the early part of the game. And with our Admiral 5th rate ship leading our navy, we should be able to get some engagements going off the bat very soon. Another reason why I quite like the Ottomans, unlike the Maratha, they do get even first rate ships of the line. They do have a good substantial navy when it comes to engaging with the Europeans. And the cannon volley is inbound. The lead Russian ship has a broadside capabilities on us, which is not ideal. But we'll continue to maneuver our ships and move through the enemy navy and try and take out their masts as soon as we can. If we can capture any of their ships, we can then sell them off and help increase our income, which we can move towards economic building upgrades or additional troops. We're going to have to reinforce many of our troops. So we'll take out their masts, and oh my god, look at that, brilliant. That is what we're looking for. Slow down the ships, and then we can try and see if we can board them. So it'd be good to try and capture some of the enemy vessels, not just destroy them all. And hopefully we can take a few more ships with them. It might be tricky as our ships are quite weak as well. Morale might not be the best, especially on the light galley. Let's see if we can take out these ships before they damage our hull too much. Because essentially our strongest ship we have at the moment, I believe, is the General or the Admiral's flagship, so the 5th rate. So that will take a big pounding from all of these ships. And eventually we will lose access to the weather or the wind, so we will be slowed down significantly. Let's see if we can cut through these ships and give them a broadside from behind. That's usually where the ships are weakest, either in the passing it horizontally in the stern or the starboard side, so the very front and very back. Can we take out their masts? No. You see, this is the only downside, I think, with having your ships focus on taking out the masts, is especially when I say that and the mast just fell down. I was going to say, usually on some masts, when the sails aren't open, it is harder to hit anything. But we are taking out their masts, which is great. Our ships are now breaking formation. See if we can move to capture any of the enemy vessels and just give them a few more pot shots before we send our troops on board. And again, some of the ships currently are focused on taking out the masts, while other ships are looking at firing their actual cannons. So it will be an intense battle once our troops get on board those ships. As we can see with the ships at the moment, there's a big jumbo right in the middle of the screen. Close quarter combat firing. Okay, hopefully that won't impact our ship's morale too much. We have one of the Russian ships with no sails whatsoever. That is crazy. It looks like a floating, I don't know, tugboat maybe? So while you're listening, I would love to have a comment from you on what your favourite ships are, ship tactics. Do you even love Navy combat, not only in Empire but across the series? Do you miss Navy combat in some of the more recent games? Yeah, it would be good to get that engagement going, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. So our Navy is continuing to manoeuvre around the Russian forces. That light galley is so tiny. It looks ridiculous against the Russian brigs and sloops. So we've got one unit that's routing, so that's not ideal. I think that's one of the sloops. No, so we don't have sloops in our Navy, it's a brig, so that is not ideal for us. We need to try and capture these Russian forces without losing this battle. If we lose this battle, it will be dire for us. We will have no navy, or very diminished navy, in the Aegean, and all our ports will be at the mercy of the Russians, even though they currently do not have any ports in the Black Sea. Oh, that was a good hit from the 5th rate right into the side of that vessel. So far only one potential unit with an issue. Hopefully they come back and we can take them out. Russian ships are continuing to maneuver around. I think a few might have surrendered already. Wow, that took a big chunk out of the sail of the galley. That was impressive, but that broadside was really good, and there goes another mast. That's brilliant. That's what we want to see. Just cripple the Russian fleet, make them immovable, and then we can board them and take control of them. I think with the pathfinding on some of them, it's not the best. That small galley, that light galley, is so tiny. That is so absurd. I definitely need to look at eventually upgrading my navy, just get a few more European style tall ships into the navy and just protect that Eastern Mediterranean / Aegean region from any potential enemies. I mean, we've got the Austrians ships now who can terrorize our ports. We have the Venetians fleet to worry about, potentially even the Spanish, and heaven forbid the British send their fleets in. So that's something we're going to have to focus on as well in the not too distant future. But it looks like we are making quite good progress. The light galley has started fleeing. They are routing, so again that is not ideal. Our galley in this battle is actually the admiral, or has the admiral on board. I think in a previous engagement the admiral of the 5th rate potentially died, or he died of old age, I cannot remember. So in this engagement the galley is actually our admiral's flagship. So hopefully that does not decide to flee. But yeah, our light galley is fleeing at the moment. You can see it there, going just heading off screen potentially. It is so tiny. It is absolutely ridiculous. But we still have fight left in us. We need to take out all these Russian ships. So you can see one of the other Russian ships, I believe, is, yep, it is sinking at present. So we won't be able to sell that one, but hopefully we can sell the others that we've captured. And we can see Russian soldiers in the water. Unfortunately, we cannot rescue them. But yes, hopefully the rest of this fleet that we capture we can sell, and we don't have any more sinking, and we don't lose any of our own ships in the process. galley with its oars just going up and down in the water is crazy. And look at all those Russian sailors in the water. That ship is pretty much gone. And it looks like another Russian ship is sinking. That is not great, so that might be less potential income for us. Let's get the 5th raid. Can you fire a good shot? Line it up nicely, guys. Come on. We need you to fire a great shot. Take out this army, this navy. Oh, look at that. Right into the sails. Brilliant. Okay, let's continue to maneuver. See if we can get the remaining Russian ships out of play. Oh, and that's it. That's the battle. Heroic victory. Get in. Alright, so that was really good. Let's see if we've managed to capture any Russian ships in this battle. And we've got 2 Russian ships for 900 gold, so that's quite good. We've also, so with the Russian fleet gone, our port of Izmir is now open for trade. The blockade is over. Send out navy back for replenishment. So we currently have no enemies in the Black Sea or the Aegean. That's perfect, and we can have more income towards our recruitment and economic upgrades. I think next we need to focus on taking out the army of Kiev and just destroying that garrison and claiming that territory for ourselves. Let's undo the replenishment. We're just going to go in with the forces that we have and save that little bit of extra income. And it looks like it's a no-brainer, but I think what we'll do is we'll get into the battlefield and take these guys out. I think with the capture of Kiev, it will be a good buffer to protect the territory of the Crimea. So that'll be quite nice. So we're in the battlefield. One thing that has always been weird is the cities in Empire Total War. They're nothing compared to the grandeur of the older games and potentially some of the newer games as well. So we're just lining up our forces. They're ready for deployment. And now we will have a look at what the Russians have to offer us. Again, some cavalry and line infantry, those that survived the previous battle, as well as some firelock infantry. So it should be a walk in the park for us. We just have to keep the cavalry on point so that they don't overrun our position. Again, looking at the terrain, it is mostly hilly grasslands, so quite flat, so this will give our cannons good opportunity to harass the enemy. Just need to make sure that we don't lose any of our cannons like we almost did in the previous battle against the Russians. We need to keep on point with that. But as the Russians move forward on our attack, we will hold the line and make sure that the Russians come to us. Oh, that was a great first volley from the cannon. It might not have a lot of impact, but it will just keep the enemy moving. I do think that in this sense, in this engagement, we need to be more aggressive as well. And we need to watch out for the enemy cavalry, who might attempt to cut behind us. We do have the 2 units of Mamluks, but they are on the far side of the battlefield on the left flank. And we are moving our general up as well, just in case the cavalry come. Nope, so we've done that maneuver and the cavalry have decided not to move to our far right flank. So we'll reposition our forces again and see if we can take out the enemy cavalry. They are charging at us. Desert warriors are firing. They've halted. A few of their cavalry have gone down. And it looks like they're coming back for more. Israelis are firing. There's a charge going down. Oh, we need to get them into square formation quickly. Cannons firing. That is not great. Hopefully the cannon didn't take out any of our desert warriors. And their cavalry have broken. Okay, that's great. Their infantry continue to move forward in line with our cannon, so we'll try and attempt to take them out with canister shots. Let's maneuver our troops into position again. Now that their cavalry have disappeared off the battlefield, it will give us more maneuverability. we can bring our Mamluks to bear now, as we don't need to worry about the enemy cavalry, so we can hunt down any troops that start to flee from the battlefield. Desert warriors and Israelis have engaged the enemy. They all starting to retreat. We'll look to maneuver our Mamluks towards the city so we can get them hunting down fleeing units. We can also see there is a cavalry battalion moving forward straight for a line of Israelis. That could be the general for this army. I'm not sure. Cannon fire is still going off. We don't have Israelis in line formation, and it was the general who's just walked straight into bayonets and potential gunfire and has sacrificed himself. Our units are getting into square formation, but it doesn't matter at this point. The enemy unit is now fleeing. Okay, we'll continue to maneuver our cavalry to make sure that we can get the kills as quickly as possible. And gunfire has weakened that cavalry unit to almost non-existence. Our general's also moving up, going after fleeing enemy forces. And I think what we'll look to do is to start moving our troops up into the city. We do know that there is a unit of Russian forces right at the back of the city, just hiding in the field, so we'll get some Israelis up there. We probably won't move the entire army. We'll also look to get some of our desert warriors into the city itself, just so we can claim the territory. And our cavalry units will still continue to maneuver and try and take out as many of the fleeing Russian forces as possible. So just thinking back to the initial composition of the Russian forces that we engaged at the start of the battle, again they had like very depleted forces, as we know. I think 364 men in total, 2 line infantry at significantly depleted capacity, and the 3 units of cavalry, again all at least half the normal full squadrons, 1 Cossack unit and 3 of the depleted citizen infantry. So it was very much a small army, very much weakened by the previous battle, and they definitely did not stand a chance. We've moved our forces now back into the city to look to see if we can engage the remaining Russian forces. There is a unit of Firelock armed citizenry on our far left flank, just engaging with a unit of Israelis. We will lose some troops to these peasants, but hopefully we can take them out quite quickly without too many losses. And again, the odd citizenry infantry is dying, but most likely we are also losing some troops as well. Our forces are continuing across the battlefield, just mopping up the remaining fleeing enemy units, and we are moving through the city towards that final unit right at the back, and hopefully we can take them out quite quickly. We've got our Mamluks going straight into the side of the armed citizenry. That should clear them off quite quickly. And then we move towards this city. So in hindsight, we probably should have sped this process up slightly. But again, we're just maneuvering our forces into position. I think once this battle is over, we'll need to really consider our next moves. As the Ottoman Empire, we know that we are vulnerable in the Middle East, with no army currently present near Baghdad, and the Persians could easily just come in and swoop and take the Middle East directly from us. We'll also need to look to move the Eastern Army to capture Venice. That will open up a quagmire in Italy, and eventually we need to look at capturing North Africa, pushing back the Moroccans, and then capturing Spain as well, which are allied currently to France. So that will put us in a lot of direct conflict with European powers. Again, we can't trust the Prussians too much. For now, they are our allies. we also need to look at pushing back the Polish and then solidify most of Central Europe. Again, it is something that we need to consider, and we need to also keep a mindful eye on the Maratha Confederacy, especially if we are unable to support the Mughals fully. We do want to remain the sole Islamic empire in the game, and we do want the Mughals to disappear, but we want to have that territory. So we might need to send a punitive expedition to India, disrupt the Maratha Confederacy, and claim some of the Muslim territories for our own. So our forces now are moving forward to engage this last remaining unit. It is a unit of line infantry that remains, so we're going to do the old bait and switch. We will get them to move forward, send in our musket men and bring in the cavalry from behind. I think we'll try and get those Mamluks to take them out from behind while they march forward towards our Israelis. The moment they've held in place, our forces are nearly in range, and yep, okay, our guys have taken them out, hopefully. Yep, they fleeing. Are they fleeing? Yep, I think they're fleeing. I think that's it. Okay, we'll run them down and take out as many of the line infantry as we can. This has been another blow to the Russians, taking another city of theirs. This is our third Russian city we have now captured. As I said earlier, we probably will not move towards Moscow, and we'll leave that for the Swedes or the Prussians. We'll look to replenish the settlements, infrastructure, and replenish our troops as well post this battle. And we'll also review the stats on our troops to see how we did. So not a bad result at the end of the battle. We lost 47 units, so that's around 3% of our army in total. And it looks like for every one Ottoman soldier killed, we managed to take out 17 Russian soldiers. That was a great result for the battle. So that's what we need to see going forward. So Kiev has fallen. We will repair the infrastructure and replenish troops where we can, but we don't have any money, so we won't replenish them this time. So we have captured a new territory for the Empire and dealt a blow to our Russian adversaries. We will replenish our troops at the next opportune moment, but I think the wars will move westward as we continue to engage our European rivals. We'll end the video here. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments on how the Ottoman Empire is progressing. I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is F signing off. Goodbye.